Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Wassalamu alaikum rahmatullah. And welcome to question blog 2. Now here I have some questions by people who have asked me and wanted me to answer them. Well, except from the first one. And I just like to. The first one I'm going to answer is not one I've been personally asked, but one that's been thrown around a lot, especially on the internet. And that is, and it's not asked by Muslims, it's asked by Christians. And I want to answer it because I like to shed some light on it by verses of the Bible. And that is, should Christians pray like Muslims? I'm sure a lot of people heard about this. Should Christians, prostrate in prayer? Should they, perform like Muslims, bowing and kneeling and standing and things like that? Now here I got some verses in the Bible I'd like to read out that do point to this. Now, the first one I'd like to read out is Psalms chapter 63, verse 4. I will praise you as long as I live, and in your name I will lift up my hands. Now, this one is, that one does go quite a bit like the Muslim way of takbir, when they raise their hands to praise Allah at the very start of a prayer. Now, that's just a short one, but now I'd like to show you another one. Of course, Muslim prayers and just like that, it compares with standing and kneeling and bowing and prostrating yourself. Here is one I'd like to read out. It is Psalms chapter 95, verse 6. O come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. Now, this does include all of them. Okay, so Psalms chapter 63 includes the takbir. Then the next one that I just read out, worship and bow down. Now, this will go to Muslim way of ruku. It's kneeling, which is the one after the sujood or the prostration, and the first one is worship. Now the Hebrew that this Psalms book was written in does the word worship actually means to prostrate. That's what worship. Of course nowadays we use the word pray and worship would mean the same thing, but back then worship was to actually show humility to God and to put your forehead in the ground and worship Him, while praying is just to, ask Him for something. So I just like to read those two out. Now another one is I was reading the Bible the other day and I came across this completely by accident. Now I actually forget which one it is, but I outlined it in the Bible. Hopefully, inshallah, I found it. Now I've already made a video, here I go. I've already made a video about Christianity, pagan and monotheistic. Now I was just reading the Bible the other day, and I would just like to read out this. Now, I've actually made some controversy, because I said in that video that people worship Jesus and worship Mary and worship saints, even though Jesus or the Bible never said this. But and people are saying, where in the Bible does it actually say to worship Jesus? We never said that, but actually, well, you read the Bible, you did. This is Matthew chapter 14, chapter 14, verse 32 to 33. And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased, and those who were in the boat came and worshipped Him, saying, Truly you are the Son of God. Now, just like I said, the word worship actually means to prostrate yourself down before, in humility. So, worshipping a man I think is terrible, because, Jesus was self-proclaimed Son of God. Okay, so that's just very important. Now here's a question that is being thrown around a lot by Muslims. Now I personally asked this, and I'm sorry I cannot give an exact answer, but I can give my opinion. And that is smoking haram? Now of course I'm sure a lot of people heard this, everyone heard of this. Is smoking haram? Now many people say it is, while many people say it doesn't. It's not, but you can see why that. It clearly doesn't say the word smoking is haram in the Quran, but there's a very good reason for that. I'm not sure if smoking wasn't around at the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or simply Muhammad didn't see that as important as putting that into the Quran. But either way, of course, pork is banned, alcohol is banned, and that's for a simple reason: they're bad for you. But now, smoking is a lot worse than any pork, and a lot worse than any alcohol. So I clearly see it as haram. That's haram. Another thing is it's a waste of money. That's also haram. It damages your health and damages other people's health. That's also haram. So I'm actually not sure if there's anything in a cigarette that is a drug. That's also haram. So I don't know if there is anything in a cigarette that's halal. So Now many people say no, it's not haram because simply it's not in the Quran. But my opinion is yes, it would be haram. So if you know anyone who would do it, I try and get him off it because it is. I would see it as haram. And the last question is about censorship tests. Now first people now who didn't ask this wouldn't know what a censorship test is. What is a censorship test? Well, the question is, do you need censorship tests to if you want to become a Muslim? Okay, are you still Muslim if you never took a censorship test? But first, what is a censorship test? Okay, well, it is, of course, the government, you'd always say like the number of Muslims, either 1.2 billion or 1.5 billion. Of course, it's not known, and there's a very good reason for that, and that's because people don't actually get a censorship test. Now, so there'd clearly be about what is it? Okay, a censorship test is something to let the government know that you're a Muslim, okay? If you're born a Christian, then you're censored as a Christian and you're put into the Christian population and you increase the number of Christians in the world and the amount counted. And if you convert and you do not tell the government, if you do not go to your local council building and say, I'd like to change my name into a Muslim, like, I'd like to be known as a Muslim, then, well, then you're still a Muslim, but you simply are not counted. You're not in that number of 1.2 billion, you're still in that amount of Christians, even though you're a Muslim. It's a bit hard to explain, but so if I were you, so a lot of people who actually convert either don't see a censorship test as important, or simply they never heard of it and they don't know what to do. So a simple if you're counted as a Christian, if you're part of the 2 billion Christians in the world, you would have to tell, I don't know how to do it, but it's either your local council building or something like that, and tell them that you not want to be counted as a Christian anymore, you want to be Muslim, so you can increase the number of Muslims in the world, and that's as simple as that. But just back to the question, yes, even if you do not take one of these censorship tests, yes, you still are a Muslim, just as much as anyone else. I hope that's the answer to questions. Just like before, if there's any questions you're unsure of or you'd like to ask me, please comment me and I'll answer them in question blog 3, inshallah. So until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.